Because Isabel and I just been talking in the advert break. We just can't get over how dark it is, frankly, at the moment. Let's talk about a different subject before we get back on to sort of the dark and gloom and doom of other things that have happened over the last month. And this is a report that a record number of children are on disability benefits, keep that theme alive, after autism ADHD diagnoses. This is basically, there's a rising bill of parents of more than 730,000 under 18s claim tax-free allowance. Now, what's going on here? Have all these kids gone tonto? Is there something in the water? Is it ultra-processed food? Have we just been sort of, I don't know, genetically breeding all of these conditions?
If you don't understand something, follow the money. There is no surprise here that if word gets about that you can get a few extra £1,000, and we are talking thousands of pounds here for some of these benefits, by making a case that your child has ADHD, I think you're going to find quite a lot of people making that case. Now, as always, it's very dismal routine we have to go through. Yes, some children do have attention deficit disorder. Of
course they do.
Yes, they do. Other
some
children
kids are on the autistic spectrum.
Yes, indeed.
And that is, I think, to say like neurologically diverse, or neurodiversity.
And that can be really tough to manage because it is a spectrum, as you say, and those at the extreme end can need round-the-clock, genuinely round-the-clock
really
care.
round-the-clock care.
However, ADHD, I am sceptical that the majority of those who are diagnosed with that would have had any such label years ago.
Right.
I do think that in many cases it's because they don't live in an environment where they're getting enough exercise, routine, structure, they're not going to bed at the right times, they're not being fed properly. There are 101 reasons why children behave in a wild fashion. I'm the mum of 3. Kids are really hard to bring up. And, you know, I'm lucky enough to have things like a garden or, you know, the resources to be able to take them out on a day out, get in the car and go somewhere. It's hard if you're in a tight accommodation, you've got small children sharing a room, you know, you don't have a great job. I get it, it is hard, but that does not mean your child has some clinical thing called ADHD.
Yeah, I mean, this is the interesting thing. Back in the sort of 60s, 70s, even 80s, it'd be like, oh, little Billy doesn't focus very well at school.
Yes.
So little Billy should probably go and do some practical stuff instead of an academic pursuit.
Yeah.
Same with autism. Oh, such and such is a bit shy, or you know,
I don't
such
agree
and such is a bit awkward.
all of this.
Constantly pathologising everything.
And supposedly the extra money is for extra help with their behavioural difficulties. I would be astonished if the majority of the money was being spent in that way, because I don't think that the personnel are available to do it.
I know a chap who's got 3 highly autistic children.
Yeah.
He adores them.
Yeah.
They've had to be homeschooled as a result. They need round-the-clock care. They do.
Yeah.
And it's awful, but he's a sort of, you know, he comes up with all sorts of brilliant activities for them.
Yeah. It's exhausting. I mean, I tell you what, some parents clearly have to give up their jobs to do this. I get that.
Yeah. But the other thing is, I don't think we talk about enough, is, and I was listening to this incredible podcast with a guy, I think he's called John Haidt, he's an American psychiatrist or psychologist, I forget which, and he's published a book on there being something funny that happens between 2012 and about 2015, 2016, when everyone starts going a bit bonkers. And he points out that what's happened, essentially, is back in the day, right, kids used to go outside and play. They used to go on bikes and they used to climb trees.
About exercise.
And, yeah, but not just that. What they did as a result of unsupervised play, they used their imaginations and together they learnt to socialise. They had to work things out. So it'd be like, yeah, I'm going to pretend to be the pirate. I'm going to pretend to be, you know, the sailor. Let's pretend we're kidnapping this person. And what are the rules of the game? And, you know, they all have to... Then they fall out and then they have to diplomatically solve their problems together as kids and sharing toys and all the rest of it. And that was really important for neurological development. That is how, you know, when you see, like, you know, baby lions play fighting in the savannah, they're learning how to be big lions. And we've stopped our kids from doing that, and instead we've chucked devices in front of them, which actually rewire neurological pathways, When it comes to attention, you have a little bit of something for 30 seconds, then it's the next video, and a little bit of stimuli, and a little bit of stimuli. Nothing requires attention for a very long time. It's extremely sort of inviting and engrossing stimuli, flashing lights and noises and sounds. So you combine these things together. You add on top of that as well the fact that socialising has become virtual. And so instead of people just, you know, kids hanging out and talking to each other like normal kids, they end up in community groups where, you know, someone suddenly goes, oh, well, I'm a tomboy and I think I'm a boy. And they end up in a chat group about this. And it becomes an accelerant between them. It becomes like community hysteria. You throw all of these things together and what do you have? You have this news story, basically, don't you? You have a load of kids, frankly, who are presenting to clinicians as having neurodivergency, and perhaps some of them do. Perhaps there has been a huge uptick in neurodivergency as a result of the fact that they're not allowed to be kids and having normal kid experiences anymore. But you're absolutely right. Is the solution just to start writing blank checks? Or yet again, is it something that the government needs to address? Because I could have probably, without listening to this psychologist podcast the other day, I'd have guessed that was a problem a long time ago. My brother is the father of 3 kids, and he's very strict about limiting screen time. He makes sure they go outside. When I was a kid, you know, I didn't have these sorts of screens, but if there was not, like, you know, a blizzard outside or a torrential thunderstorm and lightning was going to strike my skull, my mum was like, get out! Go into the fresh air.
It is out. And you know, they don't necessarily need masses of props, you know. Sometimes it's just a case of giving them a ball and somewhere to run around. I spend a lot of time on the Isle of Wight, and one thing that I've been astonished by, and I don't know the precise statistics, but a significant number of children on the Isle of Wight, which is, after all, an island, have never been to the beach. Now, the Isle of Wight is not a big island. You can get a bus very readily to a beach, and you know, you don't need an exotic foreign beach to be on. You know, crabbing, rock pooling, swimming in the freezing Solent, you know, all of this is good, wholesome fun, and it's free, by the way. You know, as long as you can pay a couple of quid to get on the bus, there's the beach, there's the Solent. And it's the same equivalent is, you know, harder, of course, in urban settings. Of course, I get that.
But you say that, but when I was a kid growing up, and we used to go stay with my grandparents a lot at the weekend because, you know, my mum for a while was a single mum. And then when she remarried, my dad's a lorry driver, so he was away all week. And, you know, it was, we spent loads of time with my grandma and granddad in Evesham. And they lived in a part of Evesham in a council house, you know, all their lives. And we used to go stay with Grandma and Granddad, and we used to sort of have to go out and play. And the game, we had 2 favourite games. One was a kind of, well, 3 actually. One was a form of tennis using their old coal shovel, genuinely. The other was a game that we called Waddle and Sinton, which was, he was Andy Sinton and I was Chris Waddle, and we used to sort of invent goals somewhere in, like, you know, the little alleyway between the 2 houses.
Amazing what you can do with a ball.
Yeah, amazing. And then even before that, sometimes we would go up to, you know, a local sort of field, I don't know where it was, a park or something, and I can remember trying to make perfume by getting, like,
the leaves
blossom and leaves off trees and grinding it on a rock like a cave woman.
And you put it in a jam jar.
You don't need
shake it up and down.
Right.
Yeah, all that.
Do just weird stuff as
By
kids.
the way, well brought up kids are still doing that stuff.
Good. If you've got kids,
do you know how old we sound? We sound about 103, by the way.
I know. I feel
when
like
I were a lass.
When I was little, down
used
there
to
in the
make
fields.
Perfume.
I know. I did though. It was great
I
fun.
did the perfume, and it was great fun. And it always smelled roughly the same, of roses.
It was always like, that was basically, you had to go nick someone's flowers from outside their house. Exactly. Right, we're going to take another break now. When I come back, we're going to be talking about a story that I've spotted today in the Times. I mentioned it earlier. Very important story, and this is about violent attacks against women on trains rising by more than 50% in just 2 years. Oh, I've said about this before, haven't I? I know, it went viral, didn't it? Why? Because everyone knows it to be true.